I'm Sherilyn Skolnicki, and this is Brilliant Balance, the show for working women who are ready to shine. Each week, I bring you ideas, inspiration, and insight on balance, business, and getting it all done gracefully. You ready? Let's be brilliant. This is episode 281 of the Brilliant Balance podcast. Want to like your life? Start here. So hello again. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. I wonder when you saw the title, what you're expecting to hear today. You know, what's the big reveal, right, of start here? And I'll tell you that I actually think it is kind of a big reveal, but in an inverted sort of way. I spend so much time professionally talking to women, often at midlife, right? Most often, balancing the competing demands of big professional responsibilities and ambitions, and also really big responsibilities at home. And the kind of dirty little secret of this demographic, psychographic, like this group of women, is that a lot of us don't like our lives very much. You know, we've done all the things that are supposed to deliver the promised land. We have the careers and the homes and the cars and the families and all the things that we were told if we went and got that we would, arrive at this place where we really liked our lives. And too many of us are living lives that we don't like very much. And that sort of started as like a rumble, right? Like a whisper, a little bit of noise in the system that I could notice when I started doing this work more than a decade ago. But now it's like a deafening roar. Like it is an epidemic from my seat. And I know we're all living in a bit of an echo chamber where the content that's coming to us from our social media feeds or even our news feeds, or the conversations we're in, the people that we're talking with they can start to rhyme with each other, right? We can start to get the same messages over and over again. I'm very cognizant of that dynamic, but I will say from my seat where I spend a lot of my time with women in this particular life stage, if you are feeling like you don't like your life very much, you are not alone. This is a notoriously difficult chapter with a lot of competing demands. And it can feel overwhelming to figure out, where do I even start? If I woke up one day and sort of finally looked around and got to a place where I'm like, I don't even know how I got here. I don't know how I ended up with this rhythm, this set of activities, this life. And what am I supposed to do to turn this into a life that I actually like better? If that's you, and if it is feeling like it is just too big of a project to make over your life, I'm wondering what we could do with your day. What would a good day feel like as a starting point? A good section of your day, right? A good hour in your day, a good couple of hours that you can string together. I wonder what happens if we start there. And it's been my experience that that is exactly where we need to start. That one of the dynamics that's in our way is honestly, we're just thinking too big. We're thinking about the big grand project of life 2.0. I'm going to kind of make over my whole life and I'm going to have this much better outcome. And what if we just bring the whole thing back to the smallest possible version that we can work with? And I'm going to call that the day. So I have a few ideas for you today that are in that frame, in this lens of what if we just start with building a great day? Because I think the truth is, as your days go, so your life goes, right? Our life is nothing more than a collection of our days. And so to build a better life, maybe we start with building a better day. All right. If you're down with that idea, you want to kind of get into this with me. I've got 5 things for you today that I want to dig into here. See if they resonate. I built these as like a ladder. Think of it as, if I just have to start somewhere, what do I do first? And then sort of how can I build this as a ladder? So the very first thing that I would invite you to think about, and that I always think about when I need a little shift, is what does it look like to start strong? What does it look like to get my foundation? And by that, I mean like my body strong, right? So that I am coming into this day with a prayer of being able to have positive energy, good problem solving, good emotional equanimity, all things that I'm going to have a really hard time accessing if my body, my human kind of system is out of whack. So I think about body and mind, but from a body standpoint, if you think about what is a great day, how does it start? You probably are imagining yourself waking up feeling rested. And so here I go with my broken record, okay? Prioritizing sleep, which I realize starts the night before, is going to be the very first thing that you can do to give yourself the best shot at having a good day, right? At building a day that you like. I was driving my son to school this morning, and he had a really crappy night of sleep last night because apparently the fan in his room, the overhead fan, it sounded to him like it was beeping. What was happening was there was like something that had attached itself to the fan. And so every time the fan went around a rotation, it was kind of clinking. And that to him sounded like this repetitive beep, and it was really frustrating him, and he could not fall asleep. And so this morning, he was super cranky, right, about this beeping that had been going on in his room, which we finally diagnosed as the ceiling fan. And I was reminding him, like, even one night of interrupted sleep can really mess with our heads, right? We're cranky, we're foggy, we can't really get it in gear. And so just think about how much harder it is to have a day that we really like, that we feel positive and sort of we've got that spring in our step if we've had a crappy night of sleep. So it does start with sleep. Other things that we can think about to get that strong foundation: movement, right? This morning, I decided that what my body needed the most was a yoga practice, not time on the Peloton, not time outside, not a really aggressive strength training workout, but just like I needed to get into my body and get grounded. So movement, fuel. What are we fueling our bodies with? Are we skipping meals? Are we trying not to eat? Are we being super restrictive? Are we being kind of thoughtless about what goes into our bodies so that our body's trying to create this positive, mojo for us, and we're giving it like a bunch of junk? We're just not feeding it at all, or we're feeding it not enough, or we're feeding it a bunch of junk, and it's trying to turn that junk into what it needs to produce the results that we're asking it to produce. That is a tough job if we're giving it subpar fuel, right? Hydrate. Are we drinking the stupid water, right? Are we getting the water in so that we just are, this human mechanism has a prayer of giving us the day that we're hoping for. And I'm just going to pause there because you might be rolling your eyes. You might be thinking, oh my God, here we go again with these basics, right? Sleep, move, fuel, hydrate. Why is she talking about this all the time? I am talking about this all the time because I think there are still far too many of us skipping over these basics and thinking like, I'll just get me to the advanced class, right? Tell me how to love my life. That's fine. Other people could do those things. I am telling you, if you are at that place where your life is overwhelming and where you're like, I don't even know how to get from here to there, these basic practices that allow you to get in your body and get your body operating in a way that it is in service to you, we can't skip over them. Okay. So I'm going to call that start strong, get in your body, optimize your body. Second thing, right? If we want to kind of structure a good day, is I'm going to call this one, we're going to put last things first. Put last things first. We've all heard first things first, right? Classic Stephen Covey point. Let's put first things first. And that really is what I mean here. But so often, those things that we love the most, we are putting last. They're fitting in, if they fit in at all, to the little spaces that are left over after we have done all of the 65 million things that we're asking ourselves to do. So by saying put last things first, what I'm really suggesting here is that we think about what are the activities in our day that give us life. What are the activities in our day that we love the most, that when we're doing those things, we feel pleasure, right? We feel a sense of joyfulness. We feel like this is something we get to do. And the reality is what gets scheduled gets done. And if we're leaving those things to be the very last things that make it into our day, they are going to get crowded out by a big, giant plate full of responsibilities, right? All the things that our work is telling us that we have to do, that our family responsibilities are telling us we have to do, that the society is telling us that we have to do, those things are going to just bleed out into the entire waking day that we have. And there's going to be only these little slivers left, often late at night, where we're going to try to extract some pleasure from this day. And guess what we're going to do then? We're going to scroll on our phones, right? We're going to settle in for some Netflix. Like, we're not going to really pick anything that has that life force in it, right? We're not going to go downhill skiing at 11 o'clock at night after we've gotten everybody to bed. We're not going to go do the things that really light up our whole being if we haven't scheduled time for them. So putting last things first is my way of saying, what is it going to take for you to give yourself permission to put it right in the part of the day where your energy is matched with that activity, right? Whatever that thing is that for you is life-giving, how are we going to use it to crowd out some of these other responsibilities? Because what I'm looking for here is a natural limiter. What's going to create the natural limiter so that the kind of drudgery, right, all the adulting stuff that we're doing doesn't take over 100% of our day? And by putting a big, important thing in there, like a boulder in your day that probably is time-stamped, it's scheduled, maybe you're meeting someone to do it, right? That's going to make sure that that thing is going to happen. So whether it is making an appointment for that special facial that you love, whether it is going out and doing something active, whether it is being involved in a group that's meeting, like that idea of putting that in your calendar first is going to give you the best chance at having it actually make it into your day. So once you started strong and you're kind of thinking straight and your body is supporting you, then this concept of last things first is going to help you flip the script on what's the most important stuff. Hi, it's Cheryl Ann. Thanks for listening. Did you know that the ideas I share on this show are things I also can help you implement? If you want me in your corner helping you find more time for what fills you up, go to brilliant-balance.com/schedule and sign up for a free exploratory call. Give yourself this time. You'll be so glad you did. Third thing is, I'm willing to bet that some of you are sitting here right now thinking like, I've got this thing I want to do and I want to do it every day, right? Or I have this really big thing that I want to do. And so the third idea is, what would it look like to make it micro? To think smaller instead of bigger, right? Remember, we're just trying to build a great day. We're not trying to build Rome in a day here. Just what is the thing that can be done one time? Can I go rock climbing one time? Not can I become a world champion rock climber, right? What is something that is bite-sized? Like maybe you're like, I would love to go to Paris on vacation. That sounds like I would love my life if I had that in there. So can you schedule lunch at the French bistro in town? Can you spend one afternoon at an art museum and kind of pretend you're having that Paris vacation? You're getting it's kind of rhymes with the Paris vacation. One of the ways I think about this, make it micro, is the idea of little luxuries. Remember, I grew up in the consumer goods industry at Procter & Gamble, and the consumer goods industry talks about affordable luxuries, right? Things that might be considered indulgences, but they're affordable even to middle class consumers or working class consumers. They are not This is not the Louis Vuitton bag, right? This is like the $7 shampoo. This is that slightly premium thing that is still the affordable luxury. I think Starbucks basically owns this idea that $5 latte it's an expensive cup of coffee, right? If you think about it relative to brewing a pot of coffee at home, but it's an affordable luxury that can kind of fit in. So that's the idea of making it micro, is what are a few little things that you can build into your day that give you like these little bursts of pleasure. I'm looking at my desk right now and I was at Trader Joe's this weekend. I picked up these, like just a handful of flowers, right? Not even a big giant thing of flowers. There's like 6 blooms in here in water glass on my desk. Just this little pop of color that is making me happy, right? While I sit here to do my work. That's the concept of like a bite-sized, small. I might say, wow, I would love my life if amazing, abundant, fresh flowers were delivered every week by a florist and they were all throughout my home. Okay, great. But this like $5 little bouquet that I cut down and put in this water glass is totally doing the job. Okay, that's the idea of making it micro, making it bite-sized. Fourth idea, and this one's really important, is to initiate interaction. Okay, initiate interaction. So if we think about where we started, I started about being in your body. How does your body feel? And then we kind of talked about what are you doing? What are the activities around you? And the ability to like make those things small, do them one time. But I want you to think about, do you feel better when you are regularly connecting with other people? Okay. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, the way this looks might be different, but we are wired for connection. And so prioritizing this is a way for us to just bring a sense of positivity. It's going to feel right in your life when there's more time that's connection. But here's the thing in the connection. It's not with people who need something from you. I think a lot of us at this life stage are getting plenty of connection where we are giving, right? Where we are meeting the needs of other people. So if you go into work and you are like, every interaction that I have at work is about me meeting the needs of these colleagues and customers and my bosses. And then you come home and you're like, all of my human interaction is about meeting the needs of my children or my spouse or my aging parents. Where are the interactions where nothing is really being asked of you, where it is just mutually positive? Those are the ones I'm talking about. So initiating interaction with people where the connection is two-way and it is not based in you delivering something that they need. That's what I think prioritizing really starts to help pull us back toward lives that we love. And I think a lot of us, if we're honest, sit around waiting to be asked, right? We're like, well, no one's calling me to invite me to go to lunch. No one's calling me to ask me to go on vacation. No one is calling me to ask me to go, for a run with them or a walk with them. So we can't sit around and wait. Right? We're going to have to initiate that connection if it's not happening organically. And here's the beautiful thing about this. Once we get that ball rolling, it comes back to us. So if you initiate this and you take responsibility for saying, okay, I am going to go get myself connected to some other people. I'm going to go to lunch with someone. I'm going to go to coffee. I'm going to go for a walk, whatever the thing is. And you don't wait to be asked, you do the asking. Eventually that is going to come back your way. Right? Because relationships have that two-way dynamic, but you may need to kind of get some momentum built before it comes back to you. And I think that if we look back at chapters of our lives where we felt like, yeah, I do like my life, they probably had a really healthy dose of meaningful connection. A lot of us go back to like, what was life like in college or what was life like in our 20s when we had a ton of time for friendships. And so getting that back again, even in micro doses, even if it feels like we have to give ourselves permission because this is the last thing that is falling off the list that we have to get in there and make it first, this can make all the difference. And then the last point I want to make about this is to think about as you go and try this, right? As you're doing these 4 things, what does it look like to collect these experiences? I'm using that word collect very carefully. It's like, if you do this, there will be a number of positive, really like joyful, happy, meaningful, fulfilling experiences that you will have had. And I'm inviting you to notice them, to reflect on them, to count them, to track them, to savor them, like whatever that looks like for you. Could be something as simple as a gratitude journal that you're doing every evening, kind of reflecting back on what were 3 things I did today, 3 things I noticed today that were intentional about making this a better day. If you're nerdy like me and you love trackers, you might want to have this in a spreadsheet where you're like, I'm going to actually make a big list of them and count up how many can I get this month as I do this day by day by day, right? So whatever feels good in terms of noticing, reflecting on, paying attention to the fact that you're doing this, because why? I want you to give yourself some credit. I want you to realize that with this effort, by kind of taking control of the situation and saying, I'm not just going to live this on autopilot. I'm going to go in and try to pepper my day with some positive things, with little touch points throughout the day that I've like planted there as seeds for myself to discover as I go through the day. I want you to have the reward for that, to give yourself the credit for doing that and starting to see the shift that it can make. Because learning how to build a day that you love ladders up into having a life that you love. And it happens one day at a time. So go try this on for size. I would love to hear from you if you try some of these things. If something stuck for you, some idea from this episode unlocked something in you, hit me up with a DM on Instagram. I'm at @cskolnicki. I would love to hear that you listened to this and tried something and that it made a difference. If you know someone who needs this episode, will you share it with them? Just use that forward button wherever you're listening and put this episode straight into the hands of someone you love who could benefit from hearing it. And if you like the show overall and you're willing to take a minute to write a review and rate the show, it matters more than you could possibly imagine to have those ratings and those reviews available for people so that more people can discover the show and build it into their daily practice. Listen, that's all for today, my friends. Till next time, let's be brilliant.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.